Sadie died eating her lunch, right, basically, and Yoni died getting on the bus.
Yeah.
You know, these are nothing things, right? They're daily, routine things.
If you do actually try and imagine such a terrible situation, what could make it better? You know, just the fact that they can save somebody's life.
I'm Adam Salt, and I'm the father of Sadie Salt. No, she was funny. She was just, look, everyone says it about their kids, right? Everyone always says, oh, they were this and they were that. She was a real character. More was more with Sadie. She had this like box of like 20 butterfly clips, and she, you know, you'd have to put every single one in her hair. Every single one went into her hair. And then she was happy. If you missed one out, she would basically tell you off and ask you for another one. You know, one of my guilty pleasures was to set her up for, you know, if she's playing with toys or this or that, and I would step back and just watch her play and not interrupt. And I miss that a lot. I miss watching her. I don't even know where to start with Sadie's story. Basically, she went to nursery on a Thursday. An incident happened at the nursery where she choked on her lunch and subsequently passed away 2 days later at St Mary's Hospital in the PQ unit. The first day it all happened, which was November 12th, we were in the hospital. We were now transferred from Watford to St Mary's, and obviously I was at the nursery beforehand, so I saw Sadie. I saw them reviving her and everything, but I knew it wasn't good. And I asked one of the paramedics there, you know, how long had she been without oxygen, and they said it had been about 10 or 15 minutes. So I knew we were in trouble. And then we had a meeting with them, and they basically, they just confirmed that she had basically brainstem death. So we mentioned organ donation when one of the doctors came in, and the shock on their faces. And she said, oh, really? And I was like, well, yeah. I've always been very pro-organ donation since I was a kid. If I was in that situation, I would want to know that there's someone out there that can help me. I didn't want to have any regret, and I didn't want to look back and say we didn't do the best that we could for Sadie, and we didn't do the best that we could for others as well. Anyway, they did this round of tests, and you know, we accepted what the situation was, and then we had a conversation. We said, yeah, let's just go for it.
I'm Marsha Gladstone, and I'm Yoni Jesner's mum. We lost Yoni over 20 years ago now. And if you ask me what kind of person he was just incredibly active and busy. There was never a day in his life when he didn't do something for somebody else. He was head of his youth group, and he was the youth delegate to the Scottish Parliament. Just every day, there was just so many things he did. He really was an all-rounder. Yoni and his cousin Gideon were at yeshiva together, and they were really like brothers. They were very close. And they were so excited because the Sukkot holiday was coming up the next day or so, and they were planning to go from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, and they were standing in the join of the two buses, and somehow this suicide bomber had managed to board the bus unnoticed, and he detonated his bomb. And in that flash of a moment, it was just horrendous, and Yoni's life came to an end in the flash of an eye, and that was it. I often think of all his hopes and his dreams and this young life that was just looking forward to everything that life was offering him at that point, everything he had to look forward to. We left at 10 o'clock at night, and by 5 in the morning we had arrived, and we were met there on the plane by the British ambassador to Israel at the time and taken straight to the hospital. And I remember being in the taxi or the limousine or whatever it was, and just trying to come to grips with what was happening, because it was all happening very quickly. And I really wanted everything to stop, but of course it couldn't stop. And we were led directly to Yoni's bedside, and thank God he was really just looked as if he was sleeping peacefully. We were led into a room, like a meeting room, and it was there that the transplant team and the medical team explained to us that really there was no hope for Yoni, that he had suffered brain death and that there was nothing they could do for him. And at that point, it was then that they asked us if we would consider donating his organs. And after a discussion about it, we decided that yes, we definitely would. A few days later, the phone rang and there was a reporter asking us, how do you feel about the fact that your son's kidney has been given to a Palestinian? And we just hadn't expected this at all, and we just froze for a moment. And then we answered, we realised that of course this is really the way it should be, because your religion, your background, whatever your beliefs are, that doesn't matter. What matters is saving a life. And I did get to meet the family, and it was the most incredible moment, really, as I walked towards that mother, and she came really towards me and hugged me, and you know, my greatest sadness was her greatest happiness, and my greatest loss was her gain. It was just really a very special moment, because I really, really felt what it meant to her as a mother to have her little girl's life be able to continue. Yoni couldn't live anyway. So what could be better and what could give more meaning to his death and for us to feel that a part of him was living? Adam.
Yes, nice to meet you.
It was lovely to meet you too. Gosh, you've been through a lot.
Oh, haven't we both?
I know. So you said it was 3 years ago that you lost Sadie.
Yeah, 3 years this November it will be, yeah.
And she was nearly 3 at the time?
Yeah, so with me reaching that milestone where they've been gone longer than they were here.
I just passed that
Yeah.
a year ago because Yoni was 19.
Yeah.
And it is the weirdest thing.
You have to take some positive from the negative. It has to have meant something. Sadie died eating her lunch, right, basically, and Yoni died getting on the bus.
Yeah.
You know, these are nothing things, right? They're daily, routine things.
I would say, you know, it's hard for people to stop and think about it, but if you do actually try and imagine such a terrible situation, what could make it better? You know, just the fact that they can save somebody's life and make a difference to let somebody else keep on living. What could be better than that?
But we got word. I mean, the problem with Sadie, she's so small, a lot of her couldn't be used. But I believe it's a 33, who would have been a 33-year-old man, got her kidneys. They put two of them together because they're so small. I mean, imagine,
Yes.
Sadie was very small anyway for her. She was only 97 centimetres. She was a tiny little thing, bossy. They put the two kidneys together to make one good one. So we got word that she'd saved someone. Her legacy lives on in another human being. As for us as a family, it's truly comforting. It wasn't for nothing. I think that's really important.
Until that point, until the medical team took us into that room and discussed it, we had never considered, I had never thought about organ donation in my life before. None of us had.
I think it's very important that people talk about organ donation. You have to make the decision quick in that situation. But if you've already had the conversation, then you can just basically say yes.
It's a really important conversation to have. Life should go on. And if you can pass that message on to your kids and have spoken about it around a table, that's a wonderful thing to do. The Chief Rabbi's office have worked together with the NHS and they have made a faith statement. So when you're agreeing to donate your organs, you can sign this faith statement, and it means that all your religious considerations are taken into account at the time of death and at the time of donating organs, and it would only be carried out according to the way that it should be.
There's different badges for different things, but when you are successful organ donation, you're given this one here that says yes. And the heart is obviously the gift of life, isn't it? I knew I was going to meet you today, and I don't think it makes any difference if you're in Israel, Timbuktu, or London. But I'd like to give you a very own yes badge, if that's all right.
That's amazing. I will always wear that. Thank you. Oh dear. Oh my gosh.
I think that's a good place to wrap up on.